Alright. Hey everyone, this is Joshua Williams here, and I'm outside in my backyard right now because I want to have as less amount of noise as possible. But today I was looking on my phone, and there was a reminder that I had on my phone telling me that today it's been 4 years ago, and I hope the wind isn't causing too much noise. Today it has been officially 4 years since the ball had hit the alarm, the fire alarm at my middle school. Now I know many of my fellow firefighters have heard me talk about, have heard me mention about it before, but I haven't actually really talked about it. So I thought, since it's now been 4 years, that I should probably tell about, what all happened, how it all turned out, So here's how it went. This was on the morning of Friday, October 16th, 2015. At that time, I was a 7th grader at the J.B. McNabb Middle School. We had just became a school of distinction. But at the same time that we had became a school of distinction was also the same time around when we had these threats going on at EKU, Eastern Kentucky University, I think is what they call it. It's that incident you may have heard on the news where they were saying about there was someone basically who spray painted saying that there was a bomb inside the building and they had to evacuate everyone. Well, basically, cops, there were some copycats at my school who decided to do the same thing. So there was a bit of tension going on at the time. There was more police presence that was guarding the campus at my school. The threat was lingering around. I could see the police lights outside, kind of just checking everything, making sure everything was fine. And I didn't really think much of it at that time. I know a lot of my fellow classmates, I call them colleagues, but I know a lot of my colleagues were talking about it. Teachers were, just saying to them, don't think about it. It's nothing to really think on. Just keep doing your work. And at this time, there is a sort of like a class makeup time that we have at school in the mornings, and it's called tribe time. Well, at this time of the week, we, instead of normally just making up work and making sure that everything was caught up and everything, we would actually have free time. We would either go to the gym, go outside and play. We would be inside our own classrooms, just I don't know, just on our phones, coloring, just whatever you may want to do in your free time. That's all we were doing back then. And so it was Friday, and because of the cold, cloudy weather like it is right now exactly, we decided to go in the gym. And of course, with the threat lingering and everything, I mean, at such a being an awkward age as it was back then, the thoughts lingering around your head, the anxiety's kind of pumping a little bit for you. But other than that, I thought that the threat was just gonna linger around my mind and around a bit of the school. But other than that, it would just be a normal Friday school day, and that we would just all get along very well, and that we would make it to the weekend pretty much. And it seemed like that at first, and so we all went down to the gymnasium, and they had a whole bunch of different basketballs and just some different rubber blow-up balls that the kids would just throw. They wouldn't actually try to get touchdowns or anything. Well, most of them. They would all just be throwing them around the entire building, watching them hit the walls, and just simple things like that. And of course, I was walking around, you know, just, I didn't have a ball with me. I was just pacing around, just enjoying it, just being in my own little world. Of course, watching to make sure I didn't get my head hit with a ball. But then all of a sudden, I noticed at the corner of my eye, I saw these two girls that was right by a pull station inside the gym. And of course, at this time, let me think here. Well, so it was right by there was one exit that took you to the middle of the building, and then on the other side was the exit to the bus lane. Well, we were on the part of the gym where you could go out to the middle of the building. And of course, it's not an exit because we were remodeling the building and everything, so you couldn't go out there. That wasn't an exit. But right beside of it was a Silent Night PS-SA, which is basically the Silent Night version of a BG-12S, Firelight BG-12S. And so these two girls were throwing the ball back at each other. And kind of got me a little nervous. I was going to tell them, hey, I would advise kind of get back from that station a little bit. You could hit it and pull it. But from where in past events where kids have known how scared I used to be when the fire alarm would go off, they would tease me, pretty much. They would always just tease me, so I was afraid to do it. And at first, they kind of went back from it for a little bit, and I thought that was just going to be the end of it, but then they came back to it, and they started tossing the ball more, but they were more spread out. They were both at least 3 to 4 feet away from each other, but in between was the pull station. One girl was right beside the door, and the other girl was right at the corner of the bleachers. Of course, they weren't extended out; they were retracted and closed all together in a nice little stack. But they were just throwing the ball, and I wasn't saying anything. I probably should have said something, but I didn't. But just the anxiety was just going in my heart. It was just, my heart's pounding. It felt like fire in my heart. And, you know, it's almost as if I heard the Lord literally speak inside my spirit and saying, they're going to hit the alarm. And as soon as I heard that, that's when one of the girls, I don't know if it was on purpose. To this day, I still don't know if it was on purpose or if it was just an accident. I'm assuming it's by accident. But they threw the ball, and it hit the pull station, the handle went down, and it said activated. And just the explosion of fear that went through my heart and throughout my whole body. Just the total just shock and nervousness going through my body. And at the time, you know, with it being basically the Silent Night version of a BG-12S pull station, I thought just by that there could have been a chance that they pulled it, but they missed the switch that actually sent the signal to the fire alarms, to the alarm system itself. But I figured out a few years later that's impossible. That's just how they're designed. These pull stations, that's just how they're designed. And it took several seconds for the signal to reach the control panel so that it could energize the alarms. And at that time, we were remodeling. The building was being remodeled. Some of the newer alarms were already set and in operation. And how it was set at that time is that the older fire alarms would go first, then the newer alarms second. And we had, and they're still there to this day, there are some Gentex Commander 3 alarm strobes, and they're still there to this day. They've only been there for almost 5 years. And they replaced 2 Spectral Alert Advanced P2R horn strobes, and they weren't there for that long, but that whole time I was just so nervous, you know, thinking, you know, please don't go off. But then it started going off, and those Gentex Commander 3 started going off in code 3 horn, and we all just started evacuating, and I just knew, I mean, the nervousness, I mean, You've had a bomb threat going on in the school, and now you've just had the fire alarm go off, and everybody is evacuating. What a time! What a great time to have a false alarm, eh? But no, it wasn't. It was very nerve-wracking for me, and within a few minutes, the guys at the department had showed up, not with lights and siren. I guess they already figured out that someone accidentally hit it, and so they still came to investigate and everything, but they didn't have lights or siren. Ladder 2 didn't go. There was some more police officers that came, and of course, you know, we were out there for at least, this whole thing started at like 8:42 a.m. I think is when it started, and we were out there for over 10 minutes. I'd say at the most 12 to 13 minutes. And my special ed teacher finally came, and I told her, I said, I saw what happened. These two girls were throwing the ball and it hit the alarm. And so what we did, me and my special ed teacher, we went to once the all clear was given, and we walked back inside the building. I of course first checked to see if the station was reset, and as I checked it, you know, it was reset, and they came over the intercom and said, "At this time, please report to your homeroom class." And our assistant principal, Mr. Vincent, I believe. Man, I can't believe I. Yeah, Mr. Vincent was our assistant principal, or at least at the time I remember was his name. And he was there. He was getting his keys out. He was resetting all of it, just making sure he got all of his keys and just checking them, just organizing them. And that's when I told him, I said, it's like Mr. Vincent, or so that I know what happened. I saw it. These two girls were throwing the ball and they hit the alarm. And the first thing that he said to me was to write everything I saw down on a piece of paper, and then kind of asked me to kind of check to see, kind of point out who it was that I saw. And most of my colleagues at school that I know them by face, not by name, so it was very hard. So, and the nervousness around me, because they already knew how well I'm able to reset alarms, how knowledgeable I am on them. So that altogether, you've had these bomb threats going on in the school, you've just had a false alarm, they know that you know all about the alarms, and for some strange reason I thought I just had a sense of guilt that they could think that I did the whole thing. And you don't know who the people were that did it. You can only know them by face, and there's 1 out of 4 chance that you're going to actually be able to find them. And what really set the tension the highest was that Mr. Vincent, I'm not even sure if that's really his name anymore. I'd have to check my yearbook, but what was else is that as we were going up the stairs, I could see that Mr. Vincent was following along behind me, and I just kind of was like, oh boy, I hope that I can find them fast. I hope I can find them fast. And there were more police officers you can see on their side, MSPD, and seeing them, you know, thinking that I've done something wrong, and it was just such an awkward age for I wouldn't say just me, I'd say all of us at the time, for such things such as that. And I just took the nervousness and just took so much false guilt and everything on myself. I mean, it's not really a thing anymore, but that's just the way it was. And so basically, we finally got to my hallway, and I finally pointed out someone, and all the kids were there. It's like, "Hey, Josh, how you doing?" And I was like, "It was her," because I finally found one of the girls that was there, that was right at the station when it wasn't the actual girl, it was just one of the other people that, one of the other girls that was catching the ball as she threw it, and it accidentally hit the alarm. So he pulled her out, and at that point, as he was talking to her, I was just like, I need to get, of course I wasn't actually like showing it, you know, of course my special ed teacher knew because she could see it in my body language, just like, get me out of here. I just had, because I was reaching a breaking point, and all the nervousness and all the anxiety and everything, and I finally, you know, it's like, I need to calm down. I need to get in my own space where I can calm down. So she pulled me into her classroom. There was nobody else there with us. And as I walked around, as I paced around inside of the school, the classroom, I started to calm down a little bit. I was still nervous that they would still want to call me over the intercom and me kind of tell more about it, but they didn't. But whenever they did get on the intercom, they said it's like, it has now been deemed that it has been a false alarm, but I am very disappointed with the way that some of the students have acted outside on the bus lane during this whole thing. So for the rest of this day, we are going to transition to our classroom silently. We will have silent lunch, and there will be an increased amount of staff in the entire hallway. And that just put more strife on me, but what finally made me decide I gotta get out of here, I gotta go home, is when he finally just, no sooner as he turned off the intercom, he got back on, just all of a sudden he said, we will now transition to our second block silently. Just the way he screamed, just the way he said that, and that's when I finally just said, it's like, I gotta get out of here. And my special ed teacher, you know, I'm glad that I had her that year. She saw it, you know, she knew I gotta call it a day. She could see it in my body language. I was just tore up from the floor up, and of course we had our paper already written out of everything I saw. I told it to her firsthand, and she wrote everything down for me. And once we got all that done, we put it to the front office, and that's when my special ed teacher had called my mom, and then Mom came and just took me home. And after we got out, you know, I was still pretty wound up. So we went to a Dairy Queen, local Dairy Queen, got a bite to eat, and then after that I went to the firehouse and talked with some of the guys there. I don't know them anymore because this was before I decided to become a volunteer. But yeah, just talked to them, seeing what was going on, and after that, just such a unusual amount of just peace and just calmness and relief just released. I wasn't upset anymore. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't anything. It was like, I've got through the worst of this. Now it's time to calm down, and I did pretty well with it. It actually, I don't know why I like to go back every year and talk about it, but it's just something now that I just love to do. I just love to tell a story about it all, and just love to tell about it, show it, and yeah, it's just something I mean, it doesn't hurt me anymore. I'm not upset. I'm not scared anymore. I don't look back all the time. It's just the story that I like to tell every year. I just like to look back on. And to make things even better, at the end of the year, from where, of course, the building was being remodeled, and they knew everything about the Amiga fire alarms, I got that exact fire alarm right here, and it has been with me ever since 2016. And of course, I'll give you a close-up of it. This is a Silent Night PSSA, basically the same version. It's a Silent Night version of the Firelight BG12S. We turn it on the back. As you can see, these were the wires because there was a little like wire pipe which connected also some 2 key-operated alarms. They never used them at all, but this, you had the station. The pipeline went to the key-operated alarm here, and the other one here. So that's the setup there. And if you go to McNabb now and go to that same part, you know, you just go downstairs and just walk in before you reach the little exit there to the bus lane, then you can see it. It's still there, but of course it's got the newer station there. It's got an EST SIGA-278, and but yeah, this is the station, and I've got its key for it, and I will pull it just for you. So when the ball hit, this is what it looked like. It was, as you can see, it says activated. Stations went down, and of course, if I can get my Silent Night key, no, that's my Firelight key. There it is. And if we reset it, as you can see on the inside, that whenever you pull this station, any BG12L or any BG12 model that they got, this is what happens, is that the switch here goes down to where it says activated. If you switch it up, it's normal. So to reset it, you can either just flip the switch back up, or you can just close it and it'll just flip it back. As you can see, if I reopen it now, it's back up. So you can tell now that that this wasn't, it was never designed. I thought that it was like that with the switch and everything before, because a little over 2 years back, before that at Mapleton Elementary, someone accidentally pulled a BG12S inside of Mapleton. It's still there, as far as I know. I haven't been back there in a while, but it's still there, but someone accidentally pulled it, and I thought that the switch didn't go down, when really the station just didn't make good contact, so it was defective. And it was a year before they finally reset it, but that doesn't matter with the story here. But I just wanted to kind of, you know, go through that story there. I mean, it's nothing really serious now anymore. It's just something I really like to talk about. It's just something, I don't know, it just makes me happy for some reason to tell about that whole thing. But yeah, that's the full story. And of course, there's some bits that I kind of, you know, left out from where I know it all so well. But I'm just trying to be as fast as possible because I could go on for hours. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the thing about the story about where the ball hit the alarm that day. And if you have any questions about it, just go ahead and I'll answer. Anyways, have a good day, you all.